Happy Friday, everyone in our Facebook group, and for our subscribers on our YouTube channel as well. Today is one of my favorite days that I get to share in these live videos with Peggy. We're doing our live Q&A this morning and answering some questions that have come through in our Facebook group. And I'm Karyn Seitz, and I'm the lead teacher for the relationship course that we teach at a New Life Center, where we teach women how to empower themselves by finding their happiness within and being the source of their happiness as a way to turn their marriages around and have a healthy marriage. And today I am here with Peggy Litt. Peggy, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. Happy Friday, everyone. Um, my name is Peggy, and I think most of you are getting kind of used to Karen and I on these videos. I have worked with both women and men in the last 10 years on all of these concepts that we're talking about. And I am happy to be here answering some of your questions with Karen today.
All right. Well, let's just go ahead and dive in and get started. Our first question is a really good setup for our video today because it addresses our three principles and our framework. So, the first question that we have today is I'm having a really hard time connecting with your message. What I am feeling that I'm hearing sounds more like a separation between yourself and your spouse rather than a way to feel more connected. It also feels heavily rooted in self blame and not as much in self discovery. And that message that is confusing for this person is our three principles for our group, which are you are 100% responsible for your happiness. The only person you can change is yourself. And authentic intimacy is actually about having a relationship with yourself and feeling good about yourself. So, Peggy, do you want to get us started in addressing this question and helping our viewers understand our message?
Yes, I'd love to.
Great.
Okay, the first one is I'm responsible for my happiness. And if I'm doing the things that make me happy, then I'm free to just enjoy my partner. I don't need anything from him, and he won't feel burdened with the job of making me happy, so he can be more relaxed with me. And if there is no blame in the relationship because I'm taking responsibility for making me happy, I won't be projecting my unhappiness to my partner. So it's the exact opposite of what she was having a hard time connecting with. It is really taking all the games out of the relationship and just being able to enjoy your partner and have him enjoy you.
It is. And what I notice in my marriage is when I'm doing that work to be responsible for my happiness and I'm bringing that into my marriage and into my relationship with my husband, he feels that. And and for him, because I did push him away for so long and I did expect him to make me happy and made him feel wrong for not, he began to shut down and withdraw. So as I take responsibility for my happiness and bring that into the relationship, like Peggy said, he feels relaxed and then able to show up with me. He can feel that. So men are able to feel and connect with when we are happy and doing that work for ourselves, and then they show up in new ways, like we keep saying.
Well, and if I don't even know what makes me happy, how can I expect him to make me happy? Where does he even get his ideas from? I mean, talk about feeling like you're drowning,
Mhm.
and you can't win. So we have to take responsibility for that.
Yeah. And how about with our second principle, Peggy, and knowing that you are the only one that you can change? How does that actually create closeness, not separation?
I have to own that I can only ever experience me. And if I don't like how I'm feeling about me, it's up to me to change that. It's up to me to look at my beliefs and do work on them, because beliefs are what we hide behind. It's our protection. And if we can be honest enough with ourselves to see how we do hide behind them and let them go, then I can become healthy enough to see the relationship clearly and appreciate all the wonderful things that my partner has to offer in it.
Yeah. So how about with the third, with because I think that one is probably sometimes the most confusing. I know it was for me for a little bit that intimacy actually begins with a relationship with myself. It doesn't begin with my relationship with my partner. Why does it have to begin with me in order to bring that into my relationship?
Well, if I'm not feeling good about myself, I project those negative feelings onto my partner. Like if I feel like I'm a loser, I think my partner's a loser. I think if I think I'm not good enough, I will start finding fault in him. If I'm not stepping up in the relationship, I'll tell myself he's not stepping up, that he's closed off. You know, if I'm not stepping out in life, I think he's boring. So, how we feel about ourselves, we project that onto our partners. We don't project that we think they feel that way about us. We feel that way about them.
Mhm.
And how can we expect them to deal with how we're actually feeling about ourselves?
Yeah. And then the other piece for me, I know, which completely killed intimacy and connection in my marriage, is when I felt really bad about myself, I would be doing things to try to make my partner feel bad about himself.
Yes. Yeah.
So, how is there going to be any connection with that? So, the more and more I understand when I have that relationship with myself and I truly feel good about myself, I'm not just pretending or acting to feel good about myself. I began to see my partner in a whole new light from that place within myself. So that's where I can begin to appreciate him and accept him for who he is and just show up as me. Because a lot of times when I felt bad about myself, I was the type of person that so desperately tried to cover that up and didn't want anyone to know that. So I was pretending like, well, I'm doing great. I feel great. It's you. So there's there's a lot of work to be done there. And when we can truly show up feeling good about ourselves, it completely changes how we connect and interact with our partners in a positive way to create intimacy.
Well, and when you say when we feel good about ourselves, that doesn't mean, oh, I've got a new top on and I'm looking pretty sexy tonight.
Mhm.
This is an internal, from inside out job. You know, it doesn't matter what you're wearing, it doesn't matter your surroundings. It's coming from you internally. And as you build a relationship with yourself, your self awareness grows and you empower yourself. So you don't blame your partner. And we're going to be putting a clip by Brene Brown. It's just a little couple-minute clip that's just adorable about blame, which we all do, ladies. So
Yeah.
look forward to seeing that too.
That's a really good clarification, Peggy, about feeling good about myself. Me feeling good about myself is really being confident in myself and who I am and what I'm able to step out into and being proud of myself for that. It's not that superficial, like Peggy said, feeling attractive, or I used to work out a lot and do yoga nonstop, and I thought that was feeling good about myself, but that was all external. So I have to find that internal place of feeling good about myself. So
Well, and
the Or yeah.
I want to share what your mom shared with you.
Oh.
Karen, I've worked with Karen's mom, and she's a lovely, lovely lady. And she called her or texted her something today and said how beautiful her skin looks on the videos. And Karen, would you just share with us what you shared with her? I thought that
Yeah.
was very lovely.
Yes. I woke up this morning to, like Peggy said, just a really sweet text from my mom complimenting me on the videos and like Peggy said, my skin looking bright. And I told her, I said, well, thanks, Mom. I really appreciate that. And I said, it's not anything I'm using on my skin to make it look bright or to be glowing. It really is coming from this place of being happy inside and that shining through in me. And so, yeah, that was really sweet of my mom.
So people can see you when you're happy. They can, you know, I, I went on a call a couple months ago, and all of a sudden the lady goes, "Oh my God, your skin is so lovely," right in the middle of a professional call. And it's that happiness that we're talking about, ladies. And it's in you waiting to come out. And, a little makeup might help, but it can't do it on its own.
Yeah. And that's the best part that I share with all my clients and talking about being happy and what that really means as an internal place of happiness. And I let all of them know, and you all too, it's not missing from you. It's already in you to become that. You're already there waiting for you to be happy. And we just have to do that work to uncover it and to find that within ourselves. Yeah. So the last part of this question is feeling like this what we're teaching and this work is about self-blame rather than self-discovery. And it's really easy to misinterpret it as that because in order to find our happiness, in order to feel good about who we are, we have to dig through the muck of seeing how we are unhappy and how we don't feel good about ourselves and how we are showing up in our marriage as a result of that and emasculating our husbands and putting walls up and pushing them away. And it's not about beating myself up or beating yourself up by seeing those things or blaming yourself. It's having that courage and vulnerability and willingness to look at those things so you can see them and then do something about it. Because until we see where we are and until we see what's really going on, then we're stuck in that loop and we can't get out of it. So none of this is meant to beat ourselves up, it's meant to empower ourselves to
That's
change.
exactly right. Good job.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right, should we move on to the next question?
All right.
Okay. So the next question on our list today is I wish my husband would touch and kiss me more. Our marriage lacks that intimacy we had before. I am more attracted than ever and happy, so I know it's not me. Is it the fact that he's used to me?
All right. Let's be honest.
Mm,
We try so hard to catch our men. And once we have that ring on our finger, we kind of quit trying and close our hearts to them. We may still look attractive and act happy, but that vulnerability of us with our hearts open, we don't want to go there with them anymore. And as weird as it sounds, ladies, men want a real connection. And when we emasculate them, they're hurt and they can't reach out because we're no longer safe for them to reach out to.
mm,
Intimacy is having a completely open heart to being yourself with your partner. It's not just about being attractive and sexy. With an open heart, your partner will experience you as soft and feminine, and he will melt. It's if you're feeling sexy and attractive, there's a harshness to
mm,
that you don't have when you're soft. And if you're feeling attractive and sexy, you expect your partner to respond in a certain way. And when you're soft, you don't need them to act in any specific manner because you're feeling so good about yourself.
I remember in the beginning stages of my relationship with my husband before we were married, I did everything that I could to be my ideal size, which is actually much smaller than what is meant for my frame and my body, and looking really good. And I was using it as a trap to get my husband. And at some level, I knew that while I was going through that, but it wasn't till I got willing to be honest with myself to see that after the fact, to do my work to heal and open my heart up after my husband and I were married. So really, I used it as a form of control. And then in those beginning stages, when he didn't respond to how I was looking, I would beat him, not physically, but emotionally beat him up. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I would emotionally beat him up for it and make him feel bad. Like, what's wrong with you that you're not attracted to me in this moment? When, let's also be honest about this, ladies, when our husband's wanting us to respond to them and we're not in the mood, it's supposed to just be okay. But if they do it, we take it personally and then get upset with them for that. So I am guilty as charged for really keeping myself up and looking attractive before I got that ring on my finger and before I got married. And then once I had that, I started to let things go.
Well, and with my happy pill, I didn't really let things go physically, but internally I closed down more.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sorry, but us acting happy is not the same as us being happy. So we can't expect our husbands to respond to them the same.
No, and my husband, and he's shared this with me before, and I experienced it in our marriage. It's not about how I look to him. It's about having that softness and having that openness with him and really appreciating him and helping him to feel like a man, that's what makes him attracted to me and want to be affectionate and loving in that way. It's not what we think it is.
No, and I remember being told one time how beautiful I was when after having sex and having no makeup on and my hair was a mess and I was told you looked loved on.
Oh,
And that was such a loving feeling for my partner to have for me. So yes, it's nice to look nice, ladies, but it's better to look soft and be open.
it is. And we had a comment come in that I want to read. Um, it is amazing to me what runs silently. I'm going to show it too. Hold on just a second. All right. It is amazing to me what runs silently underneath inside of myself that I am not aware of, that affects how I feel about myself. Until I can bring those things to the forefront and know the beliefs are running, I can't change myself and have a good relationship with myself. This program has helped me to find these beliefs and let them go. Having a great relationship with myself has completely changed my relationships. Thank you to whoever shared that. It's always nice. Peggy and I really appreciate the interactions in these videos and be able to share what's going on in the group as these are live.
Well, and this doesn't only affect your relationship with your partner, it affects your relationship with your children, with your friends, with your co-workers. Your whole life gets richer and fuller.
Yeah, it really does. And we have to go through it to experience it. It can be like, well, that sounds good, and we can take the information in, but until we really learn to how to apply that, then we can't really know these things as true or as our experience. Yeah. So our next question, this is a good one. This comes up a lot with my clients and with other people and in myself. So, question, is it unreasonable to expect my husband to help around the house? He does nothing. We are fairly newly married, and I work 11 hours a day. He works too, but when he comes home, nothing. It's turning into a deal breaker for me. I don't even like coming home anymore. I've tried to tell him, but again, nothing changes.
Well, and when I read that, and we are not judging anyone for your questions. This is
No.
very, very normal feelings and behaviors. But your last statement, what was the last statement about telling him?
Oh, I've tried to tell him, but
Yeah.
again, nothing changes.
I, if it were me, and I know I have done this, sometimes we talk at our partners instead of to them.
Mhm.
And they're not going to hear you if you're talking at him. And you might have to have a hard conversation, but try and have it without blame and without emasculating him. And try and work together as partners rather than you being the boss of him. You're not his mom and you're not his boss. And when we act like that, we make them feel like less of a man. If you can make him feel like your partner, he'll feel more like a man. And if he's a good man, he really, really will be willing to help. Now, he may not want to do all of the chores, and we are better at certain chores than they
Mhm.
are, and they're better at certain ones than we are too. So, another thing that I really realized is when your husband or partner comes home, give him time to unwind. Give him at least a half an hour. I know when I get home and I'm tired, if David is home and he's ready to go and he's cooking and it's like, "Oh my goodness, too much stimulation almost, and you almost feel like a child going, I got to go to my room for a little bit." So respect your husband enough to know he works hard too and he needs some time to unwind. Don't hit him when he first walks in that door and go, "You haven't cleaned up the kitchen, blah, blah, blah." Um, ask him how his day went. Meet him at the door with a hug and a kiss. We get so lazy. And that's one thing, I work with David and live with him. And sometimes I forget to do those things because I'm with him so much. But for them to really feel like a man, I mean, even just come up behind him and give him a quick hug can change his attitude completely.
Yeah. We often say in different variations that when you're able to treat your husband like a man and show him that appreciation and show him that respect and that you approve and accept him, he feels that and he feels your softness in that, and then he's willing to move mountains or go slay dragons or whatever term you want to say. But the other piece to it as well is my husband, what I've had to learn is I might be thinking, wow, I really wish he would do that. Why is he not doing that, taking out the trash, whatever? They're not mind readers. When I'm treating my husband kindly and treating him with respect and appreciation, he's more than happy and more than willing to do anything. But I have to ask him. He's not going to read my mind. And like Peggy said, it's not talking at them and telling them. It's maybe sitting down and have a conversation, or before I leave in the morning, giving him a hug and saying, "Hey, if you had time today, would you mind taking the trash out?" There's never been a time when I'm treating my husband kindly that he says, "No, I'm not going to do that." It's always like, "Sure, no problem." Yeah.
Well, and I never really thought about this before. How do you sleep with your husband? Do you touch him while you're
Mm.
sleeping? Do you spoon him? Do you cuddle with him? Or are you so on your side of the bed and not wanting him to touch you? And if that's how you're spending your nights, how do you expect him to feel when he wakes up in the morning? You know, it's not fun to go to bed angry at someone, and it's even probably worse waking up angry with someone. So it's kind of a 24/7 relationship that you're having. You don't get time off when you're sleeping. Share yourself, and it feels good to be soft and just touch his leg when he's sleeping. Or, I know when I reach out and touch David, he can be snoring up a storm, but when he feels me touch him, I his hand comes around and touches mine. And even if he isn't awake enough to know it, internally he feels the support and love.
That's really true, Peggy, and I think a really valuable thing for all of us to think about. I know I have some room for improvement in that area as well. And it's another good point that these things are, it's just baby steps. And it's a journey in working on yourself and your marriage and cultivating that loving, intimate relationship. So it's not taking all of these things and feeling like you have to do them all at once. It's just taking that first step and starting to make some of these changes and knowing you're going to be working on this long term. It's not a destination and there's not this there to get to. It's an ongoing process.
Well, and in doing this, sometimes I feel such love for David come up in me, but I know that has to be love for me first for me to be able to feel it for him. And I've been with him for 15 years, and that feeling just keeps growing stronger and stronger, that it'll bring tears to my eyes now, because I know it's me feeling me first. And there's nothing anybody can give you that is more wonderful than that.
It's very true. And I think that was one of the things you said in one of our first videos when we started the group was that nobody can make you feel as good as you can make yourself feel.
Yeah.
And when I'm able to do that, or you're able to do that for yourself, that's what you get to bring into your relationship that creates the intimacy and connection that you're craving. Yeah. So I think that that's a good place to wrap up today. We have a few more questions, but we're going to save those for our next Q&A, which we'll keep you in tune of when that is. The next few Fridays, we have prior engagements and are unable to do our regular Q&A, but we might do that during the week and the next few weeks, but we'll let you know when our next Q&A is, and you can continue to submit questions through a post in the Facebook group, and those just come directly to me, and I add them to our list of questions. Or you can private message me or private message Peggy and with any questions, and we'll add that to our list.
Well, and if anyone needs help immediately, we are here for you for that too.
Yes. Yeah, you can if you we offer a free breakthrough call to help you explore what's really going on in your marriage that's preventing you from maybe taking your walls down or making these steps to create a connection and have intimacy within yourself. If you're ready to explore that and see if our program is a good fit or if we're a good fit to work together, that's what those calls are for. They will help you to look within maybe for the first time ever and get a taste of what that self-awareness is and what it's like to be in that interaction and relationship with yourself. So if anything, that's what you're going to get from these calls. And I know that Peggy and I would love to hear from you and set something up. So if this is speaking to you and you're curious or you've been wondering, I want to know more about the program, please reach out and we'll set something up and get things going. So thank you so much, Peggy. It's always really nice to do these on Friday. They're one of my favorite videos that we do.
And everyone have a wonderful weekend. Be good to yourself and try and really connect to yourself and see where your self awareness is. And this is a process. We're here to help you, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good, Peggy. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Bye.